Oh, man. All right, man. What's good, y'all? This your boy Terry Skywalker, man. Representing Bonfire Worldwide. I got my boy King Fresh, man. Always representing the King Fresh brand, man, which is a whole bunch of shit. He got Takeoff Urban Music Showcase. He also has the East Atlanta Treehouse, and he has the Crown Me brand, which he has a store in the mall, man. Which mall you in?
Well, we used to have a store in the mall, Stonecrest. We was in Stonecrest for like two and a half years, but I closed the store.
We ain't gotta talk about that.
I mean, it is what it is. Like I don't feel no type of way about it. You know, I had a great run in the mall. It really helped, further put the brand out. What I always like to tell people when it comes to the whole clothing thing, it was just, this was a dream or a passion of mine, wanting to get into fashion. So literally everything everybody see me do is just me literally learning as I go. And when you get, well, people don't know, but when you get into the mall, you have to sign a contract, and in that contract they have the right to move you as they see fit. Well, I had what they call is a temporary lease.
Yeah.
Only people that have permanent leases are like the anchor stores, like Macy's and Forever 21. And the mall is kind of like the mob in a little bit. Like, you have your base rent, and then you have to report your earnings. And if you make over a certain amount, then you got to kick the mall back. I ain't never hit those numbers, so stuff like that factors into when they're making changes in the mall. So they was trying to move my store. If you've seen the store, knew about the store, it was a really nice store.
Put a lot of work into it.
I was putting a lot of money into it. So, I wasn't making that kind of money where it was like, okay, I'm going to move and reinvest another $8,000 into building out another store in the mall that I don't own. So it was cool, but and it was important for me to kind of close. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a real big person with that. Everything happens for a reason. And with me closing the store, that freed up my time, energy to focusing on opening up Treehouse as a restaurant and bar and getting a license and stuff. Me trying to juggle the two, it's harder, you know what I'm saying? So it took me like, after I closed the store, like 4 or 5 months to just really focus on Treehouse to get the restaurant open. Then it took another like 2 months to get the liquor license.
So are you focusing more online when it comes to your clothes?
Well, so basically my plan right now is we are focusing online, or the focus will be online, but that is that's a learning process too. If anybody out there that have brands and stuff, they know it's not easy to pop online. Like, we get shit fucked up looking at social media and these brands blowing up and they making all this money. You have to really, really be dedicated to online. It's a full-time job. You gotta, deal with influencers. You gotta learn how to run ads. You gotta, it's a lot that goes into it. So the way that my life has been structured, juggling multiple things it was lacking. So I've never been big online. Like, the brand is what it is because of what my real passion is doing events and nightlife and stuff like that. Me being, quote unquote, a curator and stuff like that. Probably 90% of the merch that's out, anybody seeing it, that person bought something directly from me, from a pop-up, whether it would be at Bonfire back in the day to, Atlantic Station and stuff like that. So, so I have to take the time to further learn more about marketing online and breaking online and stuff like that. So right now I'm taking a step back. I'm actually moving the current merchandise that I have and going from making everything. That was another thing. I was making the majority of all my stuff. Like, I invested in equipment, I got an embroidery machine, so I really want to do more custom limited stuff this year, and then towards the end of the year I'll go back to manufacture drops and like rollouts and stuff, just like an album or whatever,
It'd be easy because you got a space to roll it out.
You know what I'm saying? So it's been a whole learning process, and the people that I see that win, shout out to Crew. I got on Crew today. It took him a long time to learn the social media and stuff like that. So, it's a job, and it's another skill that I would have to learn. I just don't have the time, and like I said, my primary focus is this space, activating the space, and this is attached to Takeoff. So, Takeoff owns Tuesday nights here or whatever. So, that's my focus. making sure that this space is popping 7 days out of the week, making sure Takeoff is doing good on Tuesdays, and Crown Me, I'll do it here and there, you know what I'm saying? But I'll probably crank things all the way back up, like 2026, to be honest.
All right, well, this space, let's talk about this space right now.
Mm-hmm.
East Atlanta Treehouse, formerly Union EAV.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, at one time, we were involved with this as well. When I say we, talking about Bonfire ATL, which I was formerly involved with. So I was involved with it. And, we had our ups and downs, and we kind of fell out over it. And we're going to get into that in a second and, bring that back around. But what I want to talk about is what it is now. What it is now is East Atlanta Treehouse, and let people know what you got going on.
So what I would like to do, is it EAT. So what I would actually like to do is talk about how I got involved in this place.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So people could understand the history. Back in like 2010, it was like 2010, 2011. 2010, actually, I was moving back from Florida. I lived in Tallahassee for a couple of years, and I went down there to pursue a career as a mechanic. And I went down there, things didn't work out. So coming back, my brother, shout out my brother. If y'all don't know my brother, is Dress the Beatnik. He is a legend in Atlanta, underground legend in Atlanta.
The legendary Dress the Beatnik.
So you could look him up and see, his history. But I was coming back, and he was like, man, one of my friends are opening up a clothing store. I want to go. It was a grand opening, so we came over here to East Atlanta, and a couple of doors down, they was opening up At Last Clothing. And at the time, the owners, J Soul, Scott Freeze was involved, and there was a couple of other people. And I got a hoodie that day, and that's the first time that I was introduced to East Atlanta for real. And then At Last, the clothing brand, and then like a couple of months later, probably within less than 6 months, J Soul opened up bought this place, and it was Union EAV. And at the time, I was working with the Dirty Boy Social Club, and so they were working on their programming, trying to get their days filled up. And my brother, I was really helping my brother with what he got going on, because he was doing MJQ. My brother had done MJQ. I want to say he was in MJQ for like 20 years, or at least 15.
He's there for a
long time. And so I was helping him, trying to structure his business and expand. And they only did, out of the 4 Fridays, they only did 3. So I was trying to help them like establish another night. And so we came over here and talked to J Soul, and things didn't really pan out to get Fantastic Friday, that crew over here. And then, like I said, I was kind of working with the Dirty Boy Social Club too, and I wound up helping broker and put together a deal for Mondays, which was B.O.B. Balling on a Budget, and that was under the Dirty Boy Social Club flag. And basically, Balling on a Budget was a kind of like my solution to people complaining about the price at Bonfire at the time. People used to be like it was expensive, which it really wasn't for what you got and what that event was. And this was when it first started on 140 Milton Street. And so, but I was like, all right, at that time we probably had, our staff might have been like 30, 40 people. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do Mondays, Balling on a Budget. It's gonna be free to all of the staff. It's gonna be 99 cents to get in. If you pay $1, you get a penny. You shoot the penny over the bar, you get it in the shot glass, you get a free shot. We had cheap drinks, and the deal that we struck was a crazy deal. Like, J Soul he underestimated it basically, and he didn't think that we were going to do any kind of number. So after like $1,500, I got like 25% of the bar, which even to this day is like unheard of. Motherfuckers is not getting 25% of the bar. And so within, the first couple weeks, I had it flooded. And, after a couple of months, he was like, man, I can't keep this deal up. I can't keep this deal up. And so we had to restructure the deal, and it was on a sliding scale, and the percentage came down or whatever. But we kept the Mondays going, and that's really was my introduction into coming up with my own event, curating my own event, being there, every week, And then that's when I actually started working with independent artists, and I started doing release parties, mixtapes, albums, video premieres. I was doing all that on Mondays, and they like J Soul and Sky Freeze were partners at the time, and they liked what I was doing, and you know they still needed help with what they had going on with the space, and so he offered me the opportunity to be the like a booking manager, you know what I'm saying? And so he brought me on, and I basically worked with him every day here, booking and like finding people to come and rent the space out. And so I had the Mondays going for a long time, and then I became the booking manager here, and I worked with him for a long time. And then similar situation, you know, it's hard to kind of like crack a new venue, you know, especially when you're trying to get it going 7 days a week. And so I was on salary at first, and same situation. It was like, man, I can't afford to keep paying you this amount of money, you know, we're not bringing it in. So I was like, all right, let's you know, let's figure something out. And so I wound up getting a percentage of the booking fee, you know what I'm saying, versus just a flat fee. So the more bookings I brought in, the more money I would make. And so I got the place going, and then so we did that for a long time, and then that was my progression in the venue. Went from being the booking manager to being the general manager to basically being his right hand with, you know, keeping the place going. And then through all that time we spent growing this place, you know, he promised me, like, you know, if I ever wanted to get out or whatever, you know, I'll sell it to you for $5 in a burrito. That was like our ongoing joke. And I was like, all right, you know, and so I stayed down until it got to the point where he wanted to get out. And he wanted to get out. At the time, I didn't have any money. You know, I didn't have any money to pay him for the spot or whatever. So I started coming up with creative ideas to figure out how to, you know, take over the space. And then that's where in the Bonfire, at that time, Bonfire, we was running really, really good. Like, we was consistent. You know, we was making decent money, and then we were actually working on getting our own space. This is when we was messing with Mr. Lou and the Whitehall property and all that. And it was like, you know, realistically, we didn't have experience running no venue every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't know what we were doing. We was literally trying to figure it out. So it was like, man, this would be a great practice. This is a smaller version. This would be a great way for us to come in and see how it is to run a venue together. And so I came up with the deal of the profit sharing, and it was like, okay, bring us in as management. We'll pay this amount of money to get the permits and all this other stuff, and we'll run the space, and basically put him in like a silent partner, you know, situation. And that's how Bonfire got involved, and we started doing what we doing. And then sure enough, in that time, the pandemic hit, and you know, which set a lot of things back or whatever, but it also gave me time to execute the vision of the treehouse. Like, I still had this sketch of what I drew the front was gonna look like with the whole treehouse.
Yeah, you got that shit built out. I ain't gonna lie. The only reason we helped because you was already getting that shit built out.
Yeah.
I walked in there, I said, Fresh in there building shit. I said, fuck that. We gotta go ahead and help build it, because Fresh built it by himself. He gonna say, I built it. Yeah. Like, for real.
So, you know, all the aesthetics and stuff of the place, the front and all that, like, that was a vision I had, and it just, you know, came together. And, you know, through different stuff, we don't got to get into it, you know, as far as like, you know, what transpired or whatever. But then that's when, you know, when our situation, you know, came about or whatever. And
yeah, I'm gonna take it once you.
Yeah, so you know, we can go back to that. But then after all that stuff happened, you know, getting back to the whole how we became Treehouse, you know, because it was still union, you know, really until, you know, really this year legally, you know, like people started calling it Treehouse, but it wasn't Treehouse until you actually do all the paperwork, and you know, and it was really just a private event space. It wasn't never a bar or a club and stuff like that. And it's like, once again, that's not even knowing, you can't even have a club in East Atlanta. Like, you have to have a restaurant. This area is not zoned for clubs. There are no clubs over here. Everything over here, you got a restaurant. Yeah, it's a restaurant, and with restaurants
with a bar.
With a bar, yeah, with a bar, and you can, you know, have live entertainment. But I had to learn all that, you know, getting the paperwork and stuff in order. So it took me damn near 2 years to get all the licenses, just because initially when I first started, I had no idea. So I tried to get a lawyer or the expediter, and you know, ran off with the bread, whatever. And then I tried to get some lawyers, and my next lawyer I tried to get, you know, he didn't really have the time to put in. And I you know, I appreciate what he did do, but I think I wasn't paying top dollar, so I wasn't like top priority, you know. So that happened. I had somebody else come. He quoted me something ridiculous. And then by that time, my girl was like, man, I could do this. I could do the paperwork. I could do it. And she had been saying it, you know, and I was kind of hesitant. But then at that point, I just ran out of options.
Fuck it,
like, all right, let's go, you know.
See
let's
what you
figure
can
it out.
do.
Yeah.
She did it.
And she did it, you know, and we
always trust the women, man.
Nah, for sure.
Always.
And my girl, she's a genius. You know what I'm saying? I gotta give credit to her. She's a genius. She's super, super bright, super smart. Like, she's really good at doing research. And the two of us, you know, working together made the perfect team, you know, as far as getting it figured out, going back and forth to the city, you know, and stuff like that. And we got it figured out. But it took almost a solid 2 years to get the restaurant and the liquor license. So now, you know, we're a fully legit restaurant, bar, and venue. You know, we sell food. All our stuff is healthy. That was something that I was big on. Like, I didn't want to have a restaurant.
So what's some of the menu? Some of the items on your menu?
So initially, you know, I was really focusing on my initial thing was smoothies. Mm-hmm. You and I both frequent Artist Garden. You know, we'll bump into each other at Artist Garden. So Artist Garden, you know, I was like,
King Fresh movies better than Artist Garden, though.
and so also I want to give credit to Get Fruity, which used to be a couple of doors down, mm-hmm. and they was actually in the space that J Soul had for at last. Like, they turned that into a smoothie spot, and they were there for like 2 years. And I used to frequent them versus driving down the little 5 Points to go to Artist Garden. But then
that shit was alright.
It was alright, but they had food too, though. They had like grilled chicken sandwiches and like wraps and different stuff like that. So I can get a smoothie and a meal and not have to go all the way, you know, down 5 Points. And like I said, me and J Soul used to meet every day, so we would eat in the neighborhood. Like, we would go to Earl. That was like one of our meeting places, and sit there and eat. But I was, you know, leaning more towards healthier. So once they opened up, I was like, I'm gonna support them. And they was black owned, so I was like, I'm gonna support them. But then they closed. So once they closed, then there was still no more like healthier food options. So that always stuck in the back of my mind, like, man, we could do smoothies, you know, or whatever. And so learning about the permits, when I realized I had to open a restaurant, which I didn't really have no desire to open a restaurant. It was just
let me offer some shit. I don't know how to cook.
Yeah, exactly. And make it easier, because building out a kitchen can be expensive too. You know, so
that hood alone is like $7,000 sometimes.
10. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, okay, I'm a more healthier person. I want to sell stuff that I like. You know, and so our menu is smoothies. We got wraps. We got salads. We have pizzas, which I got a big announcement coming up once it's done about the pizzas, but we'll get into that. And we got hot dogs. And then the last thing that I added to the menu, literally like the week before we opened, was the acai bowls. And the acai bowls are our top seller. Like, people love the acai bowls. And you know, I got introduced. Shout out to Za bowls off of Piedmont. I live off of Piedmont. And one day, randomly, me and my girl was like, you know, I needed some cones. And right, they own a smoke shop. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna go down here and get some cones or whatever. Walked down there and seen that they had this. They just opened up the Za acai right next door. So we went in, seen it, tried it. I was like, man, this shit is so good. Mm-hmm. It's healthy.
It's like,
I was like, man, this is everything. This is like right up my alley. Everything that I'm about. And so I did my research, and then I was like, shit, we're going to add this to Treehouse. There's nobody over here that does it. I'm not competing with nobody, not stepping on nobody's toes. Boom. So we cranked that up, and it's been our top seller. So everything over here, the majority of stuff is healthy. Our little tagline is that we're kind of healthy. You can get smoothies if you want. You can get a shot of Patron added to your smoothie or whatever. And then also we have Italian ice. If you want Italian ice, you can get some liquor.
Cause he's from Philly.
You know what I'm saying? All my family and stuff is from Philly. So and that's where the pretzels and stuff, come in too. So it was just things that I grew up with, things that I like, and then once again wanting to have more healthier stuff, and then also late night. Us being people that dwell in the nightlife. After a certain time, you can't get nothing good. Get nothing healthy.
Especially healthy.
Yeah,
yes,
you can't get nothing healthy, and then especially not into the wee hours in the morning. So our kitchen stays open to 2:30. And so all of the ordering platforms, they be hitting us up, late night, because obviously it's other people that want healthier stuff.
You got a quick, low cost option.
Yeah.
Boop,
you know what I'm saying? Quick.
Good job, man.
So it was just about, taking what I had, and that's why like I said, I believe everything happens for a reason, because the stuff that these different things were not necessarily like my plan or my goal. My main goal was I wanted to vertically integrate when it came to really Takeoff. One of my issues with Takeoff,
never owned the space.
I never owned the space.
Mm-hmm.
You had to deal with the politics of business, and with business, they want to have a certain amount of sales at the bar.
But we ain't never even introduced Takeoff to this community yet. So talk about what Takeoff is.
Yeah, so Takeoff ATL is basically Takeoff ATL itself is an artist showcase and development platform for artists, and basically we support artists on all levels when it comes to live performance, release parties. Like basically what I took the different things that I did as far as Monday and brought that into the Tuesday. And so it's live performances, it's release parties, video premieres, and then now that the brand is growing, we have the Takeoff Network, where we're focusing on more content as well, on top of the development. And then we're also going to be expanding and doing more collaborations with other platforms, and then also traveling and going out of town. It's like I just approach things that like what do independent artists need, and where can I fill in the void to do that. So that's where the network part comes in at. So Takeoff ATL is a showcase, but it's also a development platform for independent artists. And I started it, I started doing Tuesdays at the department store. And at that time, it was originally Level Up. Shout out Sky High, shout out the Dirty Boy Social Club, and everybody that was a part of Level Up. And it was Level Up. And then when I parted ways with the Dirty Boy Social Club in 2017, part of the deal of us separating was I would keep doing Tuesdays, but I had to start my own brand. And so I started my own brand. It was Takeoff ATL. Also shout out Greg and Rockland One, because he was there helping me, with the back end and the logistics sides of cranking up Takeoff ATL and the marketing and stuff. And that's how me and him became close and became partners. And so, so we went from department store. When department store closed, I was one of the few people that knew that it was closing. It closed on like a Thursday. And so I got the word on Thursday. Shout out Bob at Edgewood Pizza. He was like, he was the one that told me it closed, and he was like, man, I got a homie that got a venue on Auburn Avenue. You can go over there. Went over there, made the warehouse. So we moved from that Thursday to that next Tuesday. We ain't missed a week. And I went over there. I had to physically build a stage. They didn't have no stage in there, and it was set up similar to the department store. It had the upstairs, it had the downstairs. It was perfect. So we moved over there, and it took me, I thought it was going to be an easy transition. Like everybody was just going to come over there. It took like a good 6 months to get people
wasn't fucking with
it. Yeah, at first, but I just stayed consistent. I lost a lot of money, just staying consistent, not wanting to give up on it. And then it finally popped off, and I stayed over there probably for like a good year or two, and then I brought it over here.
Then one day we found out that they was gonna try to get rid of King Fresh.
Yep.
Yeah, and I went to King Fresh and was like, you need to move before they move you.
Yep.
And that's when he came over there, man.
Yep. And so I was already managing and stuff over here. We didn't have nothing on Tuesday. I was like, all right, bet, I'm gonna just bring Takeoff over here. And it was here. This was his home for a while until we had our situation within Bonfire, management. We was having some issues, and so my mind frame was like, to alleviate the issues and not make nobody feel no type of way, I'm just gonna move it again. So I moved to Atlantucket. We was at Atlantucket for a while, but similar situation where it's like I couldn't make it make sense financially.
Yeah.
And so then I moved to our bar, you know, and our bar, you know, they showed me love or whatever, but it turned into the same thing. Like the bar wasn't doing numbers, you know, they wasn't charging me rent, and so, you know, they wanted to move in a different direction. So I was like, all right. By that time, I was, you know, I think at that time I was in the ownership position over here. So I was like, I'm just gonna bring it to my own venue, and so I brought it back. And this is going to be the home for Takeoff. That's why I say Takeoff owns Tuesday.
It's perfect. It's perfect for Takeoff if you know what it is, and then you set it up where you got the TVs in the front so they can see what's going on downstairs, upstairs. Upstairs is small enough to where if it ain't popping, it still look packed. Upstairs, it's Takeoff belong here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now let me get into it. So basically, first, before we even do that, East Atlanta Treehouse, you know what I mean? The acronym is EAT, which I know this nigga came up with that shit because he's a thinker. So that's dope. So make sure y'all check it out, you know what I mean? And just to elaborate on his story, you know, once we got over here, you know, it was an undesirable situation because of COVID. And I'm kind of like a jerk when it comes to starting shit, you know what I mean? Like with something start, I can't just let it die. So I was over here a lot just trying to figure shit out and do things. We bump heads a lot because I was doing, you know, my type shit. I would get a goddamn tray full of liquor and go stand in the front and just coerce niggas to come up in here and, you know, patronize the establishment. Like, yo, we get a free drink. Because I knew if I wet they whistle pause, that when they come up in the spot, that they will buy more drinks, you know, and he didn't like that shit at all because I would put the speaker out the window, and you know, he likes elegant and class, and sometimes I could get a little ghetto, and he was not feeling it, but I was just trying.
And just to add context, and because we was still just trying to be more low key, you know what I'm saying? Like we were still going through our process, you know, and I didn't want to.
Basically, it wasn't legal yet.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring additional heat, you know, heat over here. But I understand him, like, I understand Terry, you know, and he's trying his do whatever he can do to get people in here, and it, you know, so that's where we were bumping heads. But go ahead. Yeah,
so we bumped heads, and then it came to a point to where, you know, he was doing Takeoff here, but, you know, we bumped heads again. We had a little issue with somebody we were both dealing with at one time. He started dealing with them, and I didn't necessarily want them in the establishment. And, you know, back then I could be real aggressive. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you know, since then I gave my life to God and I move different, and I don't feel like aggression is the way to handle situations. You know, you kind of just sit back, do your research, let shit be, and build and put your head down and work. But, you know, back then I'm like, man, I want to beat this nigga the fuck up if you don't get him out of here. And Fresh was like, nah, like, we not moving like that. Why you being so aggressive? And we kind of bumped heads with that to the point to where he decided to move Takeoff. You know what I mean? That's when he moved to the Atlanta. And then right around the same time, I had started an after hours that like started going dumb out of nowhere. Like it was just really, really like nuts. And Fresh, he told us about his desire to, you know, get into the ownership position at Union. And I kind of took it as I was offended because, you know, at the time, Bonfire was doing good, but we didn't own anything. You know, we were occupying other people's spaces, and when you occupy other people's spaces, you know, it becomes, it's hard on you sometimes because you got to adhere to their laws, their rules. You got to pay them astronomical amount of money and things of that nature. And I just wanted something that we necessarily own. And with the profit sharing, you know, it felt like ownership. And we had autonomy over everything. You feel what I'm saying? We were able to basically do what we wanted because, you know, the silent partner was silent. So, you know, I'm making buku money, and I was the only one out of the whole crew making money off the after hours because I was up at night, and, you know, I didn't feel like I should have to pay anybody if I'm the only one up working at night. So when Fresh decided that he wanted to get back into ownership, and, you know, I felt kind of slighted because I'm like, man, you know, we put all this work in, and you're taking away this thing that, you know, my name is on, that, you know, people think I own, and I was just holding on to something because I didn't have anything. You feel what I'm saying?
Now, I want to add context to those things so people can know. So, with the Takeoff, you know, there were issues with I'm just gonna say names, Genesis and Danielle, which you had a long friendship with Genesis and y'all had y'all ups and downs or whatever. And then Qua with Rebellity, you know, that was the person, you know what I'm saying, that he had issues with. Now these people, you know, Genesis was my right hand, you know, at that time. She was, you know, filling in. I think at that point, I don't know if me and Greg had split, but whatever, but she was handling a lot of stuff with me on the day-to-day. And then Qua was, you know, I've been knowing Qua before he even started Rebellity. Like, we talked about it here, you know, with J Soul, like what he was planning on doing. So I always like to try to support my people when I can. And then, like he was saying, he had some issues with those people, and it was a conflict for me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I try to stay neutral, I try to stay, you know, I try to stay away from conflict as much as possible, and then I'm also a problem solver. So I felt like the best thing for me to do so that you don't feel no type of way and they don't feel no type of way, you know, we had came up with an agreement where Terry wasn't supposed to come on Tuesdays, and you know, but he put himself in a position, well, I gotta come and do the liquor, which I'm like, bro, it's 24 hours in the day. You could have came all day long, but he wanted to. It was like he know what he was doing. He wanted to come at night and make his presence be known, and it became an issue. So I'm like, all right, to alleviate everything, I'm just gonna move it. And with me moving it, I didn't think about, you know, how everybody else was gonna feel, but I thought people would understand what I was trying to do. My goal was just to trying to keep the peace, and we could figure something else out on another, you know, on the other nights or whatever. And so that was one thing. And then with me removing myself from the situation, you know, I was getting frustrated because I felt like we was battling, you know, and kind of like, you know, it was too much tension. I was always the person in the crew trying to make peace, trying to make things smooth or whatever, and it was becoming a lot of tension. So I kind of like took a step back, and, you know, I didn't have anything to do with the after hours, you know what I'm saying, like he said. And that made me feel some type of way because I was the person that brought us over here. I had to deal in the relationship.
After I was jumping, so then
Jay,
start seeing that money.
yeah,
like,
Jay,
hold on now.
Well, to me, it wasn't even. Well, it was about the money, but it wasn't about the money. It was about the money in the vein of, like, I told J Soul and Stacy that, you know, I would make sure that they were getting what they were supposed to get as far as silent partners. Like, they entrusted me, and I felt like it was wrong, you know. So, you know, I removed, kind of, you know, took a step back or whatever. And then that's when the after hours thing came. And then, you know, going back to the whole thing about me having money, by that time, I finally had money. You know, I had money to be able to actually purchase the place. So I put a lump sum of money down on the place at the time. And so that's when I stepped back in, because I seen how things was going. I foreseen that, you know, the after hours was literally like the biggest after hours in the city, you know, and I was like, you know, it's not gonna last long, you know. And so I stepped in, and, you know, even me stepping in, I was still thinking about everybody and how to make things work. Even with my ownership, you know, I explained to them and other guys, like, yeah, I'm stepping into an ownership position, but the profit sharing thing is still it's pretty much the same thing. It's just versus J Soul being the owner, I would be the owner, but then my percentage on the management side would be liquidated into y'all percentage. So essentially I would make more money, but everything would be the same. But Terry wasn't trying to hear that.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to hear that shit. I wanted ownership. And, you know, at the time, it was just ignorance. Because, like I said, I didn't necessarily have anything outside of my house that I own that, like, I own. And I felt like I was putting so much work in, and I felt like he was taking it away from me. You know, hindsight 2020, you know, as I own a bunch of shit now, warehouses, barbershops, all types of shit. And I'm like, damn, you know, that's what it really was. I just was thirsty to own something. And I kind of, like, took it out on him. You feel what I'm saying? But he never really took anything from us because he the one who brought us over here in the first place. And he always expressed his desire. You know, I just assumed that his desire changed once we got involved and was around for so long. But I never confirmed it with him. You feel what I'm saying? So on that note, I want to apologize to you for even the aggression, number one. For number two, the spreading of misinformation, saying that you took something from us because you didn't necessarily take it. You feel what I'm saying? It's just that you wanted to exercise what your initial intentions, and I, you know, just felt some kind of way because of miscommunication. So, you know what I mean?
And I want to say, you know, just once again, context, the other partners at Bonfire for sure knew 100%. They actually helped me prepare the first proposal, you know, to get the space, you know, and then you know what, so then what transpired from there, that was, you know, which we could talk about now, was his reaction was removing me from Bonfire. And so that's why I got quote unquote kicked out of Bonfire or left Bonfire, because of what transpired here. It had nothing to do with anything else other than how he felt about what was going on. And so me being the person that I was, because, you know, I felt like Terry for sure led the charge, but 2 other people had to agree, you know what I'm saying, as well, on what was going on. So everybody pretty much, I felt like I wasn't wanted. So I didn't fight for it. I didn't do anything. I just let it go, because I don't want to be in any space and place where I'm not welcome or wanted, or people feel some type of way about me in any shape or form. So I just let it go, and then, you know, focused on the stuff that I own already. You know, I had my clothing brand, you know, I had the space, I had Takeoff ATL, and so I just went harder on the stuff I had, and that's what I opened up. You know, at the time I had the kiosk in Cumberland Mall, and I was like, well, you know, I'm gonna take it to the next level. I'm gonna get a store. And when we got the store, you know, and then finish the process of legitimizing this place to be the bar and restaurant that it was. So I just put my head down. But, you know, through that time, it was really, really hard for me, and I just want you to know and the world to know, like, I'm not the type of person to be like, woe is me, and be complaining or whatever, especially because I feel like I'm truly blessed. And I think everything, once again, happens for a reason. And that happening gave me more time and energy to focus on what I did own, and, you know, what I had, and expanding myself. And, you know, another thing was, I have a daughter, you know what I'm saying? And the stuff that I'm doing, and I go so hard, is for her. I don't want her to ever be, and you a father too, so I know you feel what I'm saying, but that Bonfire at the time, that was my primary source of income. That's how I've been taking care of myself for, you know, shit, probably 7-8 years at that time or whatever. So it was a really hard time for me, you know, trying to make these things that I wasn't necessarily dependent on as income, to then depend on them as income at the same time, trying to build them, which is not a good equation. Like, if you're trying to start something and you're trying to live off it at the same time, it's very, very stressful. You know what I'm saying? You really need to be able to have, that's why I tell people,
pay them bills.
Yeah, you got to pay your bills. So it's always good to have a job or have a primary bread and butter stream of income. But I'm a hustler, so I, you know, hustle, and I figure this shit out, and I, you know, work through it or whatever. But that shit was very, very stressful for me. And then the lies and stuff being spread about me, a lot of people stopped fucking with me. A lot of people felt like I did something or whatever, and I wasn't one to go around and try to defend myself. I didn't go online and like, oh, I'm gonna make a video and tell and front these niggas out or whatever. If the people that knew me and my real friends came to me and asked me what happened, and I explained to them what happened, and that was the only conversations. But a lot of people didn't come to me. They had my phone number and knew me personally, and I put them on and all kind of shit, and they never came to me to figure. They just listened to whatever was being said, and then they turned their back on me. And that kind of also opened my eyes to, you know, just understanding my position, who I am, who really fuck with me, who don't fuck with me, or whatever. And so I appreciate the people that did, and I appreciate the people that didn't, because it just made it a very clear line. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could have still, and there's certain people that still fuck with me and still fuck with y'all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never been no draw a line in the sand, like pick a side. I never been that person. Like, I'm never gonna tell people, especially if I put you on, like, no, keep on eating, keep on doing your thing, but don't not fuck with me. Like, don't shun me because of rumors or whatever, or if I told you really what happened and you not believe me or whatever. Like, you know, to each his own. But I feel like my character has always been the same, and anybody can contest to that really know me, that ever knew me or spent time with me. You know, I have integrity with everything I do. And so, you know, that shit really, really kind of hurt me. And, you know, I haven't said nothing publicly until now or whatever. And, you know, I appreciate you for even, you know, coming back around again, you know, and, you know, even though, you know, just being like, I feel like you're in a place of almost like desperation to save Sundays, you know what I'm saying? And you realize that you can't do it by yourself. You do need the culture. You do need people that are, you know, were there from the beginning. You do need people that have different relationships in the city.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
My position first, to just go back of, you know, what the split was about. It was about union, but it was all about something else too. Mm-hmm. And the thing that it was really about was I don't know if you remember a meeting we had when we was gonna put everything under the same umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? And not to speak about people who not there, but my other partner, well, one of my partners was down, and then the other partner popped up, and he was just like, "Why do we have to do that?" You feel what I'm saying? And I felt like once he did that, because I didn't blame you, I just know what happened. Just like Joe Biden said, he was like, "Yo, I know our lack of helping people and being involved in the black community caused this, but we still got to get them off the street." You feel what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Like, I know that at that moment, you went into, all right, fuck it. I'm gonna just take care of the shit that I got going on. And you kind of, based off of what we had going on here and that conversation, you kind of fell back in Bonfire because you felt like you didn't really have a team anymore. It was just like you had a position, but it wasn't like a crew no more. You feel what I'm saying? So the communication started suffering. You feel what I'm saying? The energy was dying. And because of that, I'm like, this nigga Fresh ain't doing shit no more. But really, you just trying to keep it to yourself because, you know what I mean, shit ain't going like it was supposed to. And that was kind of all put into the decision of Fresh don't want to do this Bonfire shit no more, and he making fucked up moves by, you know, taking Union from us. But really, it wasn't really like that. It all spanned from something. You feel what I'm saying? And that's when I like put it out there, and you know, I got no pushback because, you know, maybe it was greed, maybe it was whatever, trying to make more money.
So to you know, add context to that, like, you know, I remember having a conversation as far as, you know, it might have been the two of us having a conversation, but I know I came up with the idea like, we need to put all this together because the other partners, they had their event or whatever that was going on. I was coming over there hosting and stuff like that or whatever, so that's resources from us. You know what I'm saying? I had take off ATL, which that was a subject where people felt like they deserved something from Takeoff or whatever. I
do events.
You know, and then he do events, so it's like it makes sense for us to create a, you know, everybody under umbrella. You can still own your individual businesses, but we profit share to the company.
So everybody market together, logistics together, all that kind of stuff.
We had a team, you know what I'm saying? We had a team of people that could have worked together, you know what I'm saying, on our individual projects and businesses and split profits, and then we were building stuff together as well. So to me, it made perfect sense. And then
when he killed it, I seen it in his face when he came and killed it. I looked, I was like, oh,
because it just didn't make no sense, you know. And so I did kind of take, because I didn't know what else to do. Like this will solve a lot of our problems and things that are coming up. You know what I'm saying?
People not having time for what we think everybody should have time for. If everybody's involved in everything, then when we sit down and have these meetings, everything's on the table and everybody can, you know what I mean? But if it's takeoff and like, nigga, this meeting taking long, I gotta get the takeoff shit. You feel what I'm saying? So like I get it. I definitely get it.
So, you know, so that you know, that was, you know, that was like kind of my situation. Like like I said, I'm a natural problem solver, so I feel like we came up with the perfect solution. And so when people shut it down, like, I'm like, this just don't make no sense, you know. And now it kept us divided, and then, you know, I do feel like greed and jealousy and stuff came into play, you know what I'm saying. And then once again, so when decided to, you know, kick me out, you know, that shit really, really hurt. But I felt like, you know, it happened for a reason, and so I was like, shit, I guess I just doubled down.
You really got right. You know what I mean? Now, I just want to say one last thing. So now let's talk about Bonfire. You feel what I'm saying? This whole conversation, an apology and everything, is because we got something big coming up. You feel what I'm saying? Bonfire Sundays is about to come back. All right, Bonfire Sundays is coming back at the Underground Atlanta, starting on 4/20. All right, which is also Easter weekend.
And I want to say, this is not Bonfire ATL.
No.
This has nothing to do with Bonfire ATL. I wouldn't be involved if it was Bonfire ATL, because I personally don't want to have anything to do with any of the energy and stuff from Bonfire ATL. So much has happened behind the scenes that people don't know about, that would take a whole documentary to even cut through or whatever when it comes to Bonfire ATL as a brand. You know, yes, I was involved in Bonfire ATL from the beginning and all that other stuff or whatever. Got kicked out of Bonfire ATL. I don't want to, you know, have anything to do with Bonfire ATL. Out of the people that were involved, only 2 of those people came back to me and actually had conversations. Only apologize or whatever. And so therefore, when Terry came up with this idea, you know, of the bonfire worldwide, which is something that we also discussed, like growing the brand bigger than just Atlanta, you know, and it not having nothing to do with the original situation. I was like, okay, this is something that I can support as long as the paperwork and the business is correct. And then also I was like, we really need to rectify some of the other things that happened in the past and bring certain people back in, and which is still a process, because everybody that I want to be involved are not involved yet, but we got to figure that out, because certain people need, you know, to be reconciled for different stuff that has happened. Like it's a very, you know, it's a very hurtful thing when you birth something, when you're a part of something. The best analogy I could give is like you coming into a marriage or whatever, and you having a kid, and like you helping raise that kid, you treating that kid like it's your own, you giving it everything that you got, and then you and the mom get a divorce, and
she just bounce with
the kid, and then the kid go pro. You know what I'm saying? And now the kid is, you know, playing ball, doing all these things, and you like, the kid don't even talk to you no more. You know, you done been shunned from the kid, and it's like, shit, I was the one in the gym with him. I was the one doing the drills. I was the one, I bought his first pair of shoes. I showed him, you know, I taught him all these different things, and then now you don't have nothing to do with him. You know, that's how a lot of people felt that was a part of Bonfire. Like, they poured their soul into the event, you know, and then for whatever reason got removed, kicked out, disassociated or whatever, and you know that shit hurt. You know, it hurt, and especially to see it grow.
Now, I ain't do all of that.
No,
a lot of that shit came before I even was around. So don't think that I just kicked everybody out. Like, it's a lot of people, like the original Bonfire started in 2013, and it had a bunch of different people involved, and we are trying to reconcile and bring the culture of Atlanta back. Now, to just clear up, and not even on no ego shit, I didn't come to you guys because I needed you guys on some, you know, just for the culture and all that. I came to y'all because it's the right thing to do. You feel what I'm saying? Like you said, you know, I gave my life back to God on September 28th of this year, which is actually my birthday. And, you know, I've been really sitting with God for real, having real conversations, praying, meditating, and just trying to become a better person. And that was something that God told me straight up. He was like, yo, you gotta, you know, if you do want to continue doing this, number one, I want you to change it back to a cultural brand. I want you to make it something that the community can be proud of, something that helps entrepreneurs grow, something that helps artists, you know, grow and get seen and stuff like that. Not necessarily the raunchiness and just the clubby club vibe and stuff like that. So, you know, and then also I want you to go to people that you feel like you got negative relationships with based off of this brand and the greed and the money and all of this stuff, and just make good. You know what I mean? And bring back, you know, people that's good at what they do. You know what I mean? This guy's good at what he does when it comes to the stage, with artists, with just aesthetics in general. You know what I mean? And then just to make an announcement, we got Sky High involved. You feel what I'm saying? We all know Sky High is magical. That's the best way I can say. Like that, when it comes to aesthetics, when it comes to artistic creativity and things of that nature. You feel what I'm saying? And I wanted to personally say this live on the line, because I'm gonna put this out. Maisha, you are invited to come back. We love you. You know what I mean? We're gonna have a good conversation with you, and you are definitely back in the fold. I assume you was gonna come back with Sky High. You feel what I'm saying? But I understand that you want to have a conversation on your own merit, and then we can merge everything and figure it out. So we are coming to find you, and we're gonna have a conversation with you. But right now, everybody that's involved currently on upper management and ownership-wise of Sundays is King Fresh, myself, Sky High right now, and we have my boy Gardy is going to be helping, you know, manage as well, and Greg is going to be helping manage as well from Rockland One, and most of y'all know him as Rock. All right, so that's the 5 individuals that's going to be, you know, involved with Bonfire Sundays, which is going to happen at Underground Atlanta, right next to the new MJQ in the gallery area, 50 Upper Alabama Street Southwest. All right, it's about to go down. We are bringing the culture back. We are bringing it more closer to the arts, and we're going to be changing the time. The time is now going to be from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Why? Because we want you guys that got jobs that couldn't never make it to Bonfire. We want y'all to be able to experience what so many have been able to experience over the last 11 years, man. And we want to sell liquor. Bottom line, we want to
making the event legal.
making it legal. You know what I mean?
Don't gotta run and hide and
no more beef with the city.
Yeah,
City of Atlanta, we love y'all.
Yeah, it's 100% legit, and that's that was another one of the things that piqued my interest. Like, I don't want to do anything illegal. I never wanted to do it. That's the whole, like, getting this place legitimized. Like, I want everything to be above board. I don't want people to be able to judge, the caliber of our business and our brand, as some underground backdoor stuff. Like, we
tired of that.
Yeah, we fully legit. We grown. We got kids. Like,
that's crazy you said that, because that's my slogan for 2025. New year, new vibes. We grown now.
Yeah,
straight up.
You can't pass illegal things down to your kids. You can't. It just don't work like that. So yeah, it's going to be legit. It's going to be very culture. I'm a community and culture person. That's where I thrive. That's where I've been doing for the shit. I've been in nightlife for over 20 years. And that's a story in itself. But especially in Atlanta, going on, professionally, like 15 years. And so I'm about the community. I'm about the culture. I'm about uplifting. Supporting other small businesses. Keeping revenue in our community. Like, it's about all of those different things, the arts, things that we've been supporting, I've been supporting for years, and it's like we get to bring all that back, and we get a fresh slate, what I'm saying, no drama associated. Nobody should have any kind of hate or slander towards what's going on, because this is something totally different.
This is not Bonfire ATL. Different company, different logo, different name, different time frame.
Yeah.
Everything is totally different. We are, but we gonna bring the same culture.
Yeah.
That's what we want to bring, the original culture, like straight like that. So I like to thank King Fresh for his time. I don't want to keep going too long. Sure. That was just the announcement. Bonfire Sunday's coming back on 4/20. I apologize to King Fresh. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Like that. This is my brother. Like, even outside of that shit, I was fucking with King Fresh before I even fucking with Bonfire.
Yeah.
We was throwing events together. I done watched his kid before, shit like that. Like, I actually got love for this man. I used to, even when we was beefing, I would root for this nigga. I'll be watching him. Like, this nigga to open the store. This nigga got TLC. This nigga, I'm like, yo. But it wasn't hate. It was like, okay, I see you. I even like the post and shit like that. Cause you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
I thought that was so weird. He would be on my on my social media. I like this nigga Terry on my stories. Like, he would be on my stories all the time.
Yeah, because I actually support the dude, you know what I mean? And, God just told me, like, to spin back around, man, because, like I said, like, not only do I got love for him, I love his child for real. So it'll always, after a while, after the anger goes away, after the dramatic shit happens, you sit back and you think, like, damn, yo, I wonder what's going on with this kid. I ain't want to do it like that, da-da-da-da. But, male ego, you got to stick with what you already got going on. You know what I mean? But in an opportunistic time to go ahead and just back, think, shut shit down, and think, what is the right thing to do? This is what I felt the right thing to do was. You feel what I'm saying? I had a meeting with my former partners, you know what I mean, talking about stuff. But even when I was talking about stuff with them, I made sure to let them know, like, no matter what I decide to do, if he's not involved, I'm not fucking with him. Because I already promised God that I was going to make sure that he was whole. You feel what I'm saying? But, that went the way it went, and I'm still going to do my part. I got a good relationship with the underground, a good relationship with the city. I have the ability, a good relationship with the people of Atlanta, and I have the ability to bring him back in. I'm going to do that. And to bring Sky High in, man, he's so creative, so dope. And Sky High is really a good friend. I talk to him about so much stuff. And, you know what I mean, the peace and calmness that he has just helps me out a whole lot when I'm having conversations with him, man. And he's like an artistic genius, man. So, you know what I mean? And Maisha, she just deserved it because she started it.
Yeah, Maisha started it, and we got to give her credit. She was the original curator of the stage. Like, she booked all that first year, 140 Milton, she booked all those acts, and a lot of those acts that she booked, you can't even get those acts no more. Like, some of these artists are traveling the world, or have traveled the world, have immaculate careers and stuff like that. And that just shows her vision and how connected she was to the culture, and how, her effect that she had in knowing talent and finding talent, and so I was one of the ones I was like, you need to talk to Maisha. You need to bring her back as, you know, talk to her and see if you can get her involved as well, you know, because I felt like that is important. And she was slighted, you know, and at that time I was new, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know what was going on. Only thing I knew was what I was being told, you know, but I never had no beef with, you know, I never had no beef with nobody for real, except for two of the quote unquote leaders of the event, you know, but that was on some other shit. But one of them is here, you know, we was able to talk through our stuff or whatever. But yeah, we bringing it back, you know, Maisha, we really want you to be a part of this some way, shape, or form, you know, but if anything, we want to give you your flowers.
And that's what we talking about too. Like, for all of you guys out there that just dwell on negativity and beef and bad energy, man, it's 2025. It's time to let all that shit go. It's a promising year, you know what I mean? No matter who's in office, whatever, like, the energy is different, you know what I mean? And it feel like a lot of things are going to happen that aid those entrepreneurs to be successful. So with that being said, man, let the bad energy go, man. Shake hands and make up and get shit out the way, man, because holding on to grudges ain't going to do nothing but hold you back and hold you down, man.
We got to take care. We got to understand, ain't nobody going to save us. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody going to save us. We got to learn how to work with each other. We got to learn how to work through our differences. Other races and cultures, they can hate each other, but they still going to get this money together. You know
man.
They do that all the time. So we need to learn the same thing. You know, we need to, and so I always want to be an example of that. Like, yeah, this happened or whatever, but we could talk through those, we could put those to side, we could do better business, better paperwork, and, you know, try again, start off fresh or whatever. But it's about the community, it's about us as a people, as a race, as a culture, you know, owning our stuff, you know what I'm saying, and supporting each other. That's one of the most important things to me. So, you know, just to put that out there as we're like 2025, you need to reconnect with your people, especially if y'all know y'all fell out over some BS or things that wasn't true or rumors or ego or pride or whatever. Like, put that aside and look at the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? So,
and with that being said, you know what I mean, y'all look out for my first Fridays, my final Fridays at Underground Atlanta. The first final Fridays on January 31st. First Fridays, February 7th. We going crazy right next to MJQ. And then y'all just prepare, man. You're going to see the advertisements. You're going to see what's going on. We actually got a 3-day weekend on 420 to launch Bonfire Sundays. And then Sunday, we going to go crazy on 420, all right? So make sure y'all rock with us, man. And I'm about to go get one of these good-ass smoothies.
Yeah,
all
man.
right?
Y'all make sure y'all can follow me, the number 1, Kings with an S, hands with an S, or 1 King's hands, King Shans. The Crown Me spelled with a K, Crown Me LLC. Take off ATL, take off network, and then that's it. You know, and East Atlanta Treehouse. You know what I'm saying? Eat at Treehouse or EAV Treehouse.
And we got a page, Bonfire Sundays. We're going to develop that page together.
Yeah, starting from scratch.
Yeah, starting from scratch. And besides that, I got the Bonfire Worldwide page, Bonfire BKNY page for Brooklyn, Bonfire Dallas page. You can follow me on all of that. Or Bonfire ATLU, and also Bonfire Worldwide Vendors, Bonfire WW Vendors. That's where the vendors lie. So, you know, all of those pages right there, you can catch us at. But you can also catch us in person, because we are very personal people and we deal with the community. That's one thing I can say, me and this guy do. We fuck with the people heavy. You feel what I'm saying? So, y'all get ready for 2025, man. Love, peace, hair grease, man. Bonfire Sessions. This is the fire pit right here. We just letting y'all know what this is. We're going to be interviewing a lot of people, but this is how we started it off. Shout out to King Fresh.
Appreciate y'all.